Many thanks for joining us on News Today. To our first story, an advocacy group, Odikro, has filed a writ in court seeking the removal of some 21 members of parliament for absenting themselves from the House. Foreign Affairs Minister and Member of Parliament for the Ewutu Senya West constituency, Hannah Tete, Minister for Agriculture, Fifi Fiave Kwete, and 19 others have all been cited in the writ as reneging on their responsibilities as members of Parliament by consistently failing to show up in the August House. Principal lead of the group, Nehemiah Atiga, tells Joy News the move is to promote transparency and accountability among the legislative arm of government.
The law has to be applied. I don't think that the law, anyone is above the law. And so if the law says that after this number of days of being absent, you should vacate your seat, I think that has to be applied. And that's what we expect to happen. So these 21, for a start, should actually lose their seats. Okay. Because the two provisions, we have data that proves that they clearly boost those two provisions in that Article 97.
So there's something I just want to find out from you. Now, earlier, we were told in your statement that you did sample some views and you did go around, you did some research, and your research showed that these people have failed to show up in Parliament for a number of times. Now, do we know exactly what reasons were given for the absenteeism? I mean, they could, for all you know, be engaging on another assignment for the country.
You see, clearly, if they were participating in other parliamentary activities, we also know because we have documentation in relation to all the committee meetings. So if you took let's say the privileges committee, we can tell you that within a period under review, they've met 12 times, and all 12 times, the second provision that says that they should even have explanation, they should provide explanation to that committee. It's not there. That didn't happen. And if you were as a minister on an official duty, I think you have paid assistants who can even ask permission on your behalf if you are not available. So in truth, I don't think there's an excuse because our data clearly shows that they didn't ask permission and that they were absent. And just like going to school, if you go to school, the register is marked whether you are absent or present. In Parliament, it's absent with permission or present. So absent without permission obviously breaches the law.
A member of Parliament for the Ododo constituency and one of the 21 MPs cited in the writ has described the writ as frivolous and a waste of time, accusing the group of not doing proper research into the reasons for his absence in the House for more than 70 times between 2013 and 2015.
I am unable to give you reasons because I wouldn't know which of the periods they're talking about. I wouldn't know which time, because I may be absent from Parliament for different reasons and at different times. So at this time, I'm unable to give you any reason for those absentees. But the issue is that I'm saying I'm directing them to see the public affairs of Parliament, and the public affairs of Parliament is competent enough to offer them the reasons behind those persons being absent from the House on those particular days and times.
Okay, so, well, he gives a period that between 2013 and 2015, you absented yourself from January 2013 and January 2015, I must say. You absented yourself about 75 times, really. Yeah. That's the worrying bit. I mean, for your constituents who voted for you and want you to be in Parliament to make certain laws and push for certain things on their behalf, this can't be good news for them, really.
You see, the issue is simple. The gentleman has made a hasty conclusion. As a member of Parliament, does he know that if in Parliament as a group goes on parliamentary workshops outside the country? Committees go outside the country for work. So if somebody absents himself from Parliament, what is important that you have to engage a person to find out the details of that particular period.
Meanwhile, governance expert David Agbe believes the move by the group is an important one that will get members of parliament to set up and show a lot more responsibility in dealing with their constituents. But what really do Ghanaians make of the move by Odikro to sue some members of parliament for absenting themselves from sittings? Michaela Anderson has been finding out.
Other MPs don't have time to go to because they are ministers, they don't have time to go to the parliament. It means the government must look at it, or politicians, as I say, must look at it, so that next time the ministers who have, because of the nature of their business, they shouldn't go to parliament. Neutral people must go to parliament.
Whatever decision that the government takes, they have to participate in it, and then they have to send our views to the government. So if they don't participate in what goes on in parliament, then I don't think it's good.
I think it is highly misplaced because all the purported members of parliament who have been sued are really in the executive. Invariably, they go abroad, attend meetings on behalf of the government, and then their work schedules are so heavy, the day-to-day activities of the government. So it will be very, very difficult for them to attend to the duties of parliament. And so I think the basic issue is how to effect changes in the constitution, whereby you don't have to be necessarily a member of parliament before you become a member of the executive. And this will free them from all these chores. So I think the suing of these MPs is highly, highly misplaced.
Away from that particular issue, and the Etobo gas plant is expected to be shut down today as managers of the facility embark on routine maintenance. Now, the plant is, however, expected to be back on stream in 2 weeks' time. The concern for many, however, is the likely impact the shutdown may have on power generation, with some suggesting the situation may lead to an intensified load shedding exercise currently ongoing. The management of the plant have, however, assured that the shutdown will not affect power supply in the country. The Ghana Gas Company is liaising with the Volta River Authority and Tullow Oil for the plant maintenance. Alfred Ogbami is the Public Relations Officer of Ghana Gas, and he joins us over the telephone lines now with a lot more on this. So, Mr. Ogbami, can you indeed confirm that this plant shutdown, this schedule of shutting down Etobo Gas today is still on course?
Yes, of course.
Okay, so again, like I read in my intro, quite a number of Ghanaians seem skeptical about what really this is going to, what impacts this is likely to have on the power situation in the country, particularly power generation. Now, we are told that some measures have been put in place. Exactly what measures are these that have been put in place, and should there be any concerns for worry?
Well, this is a loaded question. I mean, there are so many angles to it. Should Ghanaians be worried? I do not think so. I mean, first and foremost, let me say that we are not a power generating company. And in that sense, I should not be speaking to you when it comes to availability of power, etc. I think that the appropriate organization to speak to that would be the Water River Authority. Of course, it is not doubtful. I mean, it's a fact that we help VRA.
Okay, right. So we just lost on the phone lines there Alfred Ogbami. He's the Public Relations Officer for the Ghana Gas, and we'll bring you a lot more on that particular story on subsequent bulletins, particularly on our news analysis program at 3 p.m. That is The Pulse. Now, 5 new deaths have been recorded in the Bole district in the northern region in a fresh outbreak of the pneumococcal meningitis there. Now, since beginning of the year, 12 cases have been recorded in the region, claiming 5 lives. Now, this was disclosed by the District Director of the Health Services, Chief Bumawura Ewutash Mahama, as he briefed Deputy Health Minister Victor Bampo on a tour in the region. My colleague Matilda Pemega is there and joins me on phone now with a lot more. So, Matilda, how are health officials dealing with the outbreak and the spread in those particular regions? Okay, well, so before we bring you that particular interview with Matilda Pemega, let's take a listen to the health officer.
Okay. Currently, we have 12 cases for 2016, 12 cases. And we started seeing the cases just in week 1. That's the first week of January. And currently, we are in week 3. Both week 1 and week 2, we've seen 6 cases per week. That is the situation, but week 3 hasn't ended, so we cannot be sure what is it. And the cases, they are not coming as as an epidemic. You know, this condition, epidemic rate is very slow, but the mortality rate is high, and they are spread out, sporadic. They are not concentrated in one area. Among the cases that we have seen, one came from Sola, Kalba, Tuna district, Bindambo to be specific. The rest are from...
Let's not go into the details, but basically tell us, how are you controlling this?
We are controlling it using a lot of strategies. Our epidemic management teams are meeting. All the sub-district teams have set up their epidemic management team. They've set up educational teams that will move to the communities to give education. We are using community radios. We are also using the district FM station. We have met dissect. We have met other assemblies. We are meeting chiefs and people. Because basically, because of the way the situation is, because it's scattered, you have to talk to everybody in the district so that you are sure that what you are doing is on the right path.
What you are witnessing, do you term it as an epidemic?
Yes. Strep pneumonia is not known here. This is the first time we are getting the cases. So, but if you look at, we have hit our alert threshold.
And so it's an epidemic?
It's an epidemic. It's an epidemic because even though we haven't hit our epidemic threshold, our neighboring districts are reporting. And once your neighboring districts are reporting, you don't even need to wait to reach alert threshold before you start putting in place other measures. Unfortunately for us, we have hit the alert threshold. That tells us that we are in epidemic and we must put in all the necessary strategies to contain it.
How serious with this? Because I'll be going to the public health director to talk to me. How serious do you see the situation?
It's a bit serious because, like I said, because it's not the classical explosive one. Some people get the condition and they think that just ordinary headache and some light neck pain, so they don't want to report. So if you see, most of the deaths are cases that are reported completely very bad.
Let's go live now to the phone lines and speak to my colleague Matilda Fomega, who is with the team. She joins us live now with a lot more. So Matilda, if you can hear me, how are health officials dealing with the outbreak and the spread? Interesting. So we've lost Matilda Omega on the lines once more, but let's now take a listen to Deputy Health Minister Victor Bampo, who has also been addressing the media.
What we've done is that we've already sent some funds through the regional health directorate to the districts that are affected to help them already to start to do their public education so that people can come early. As you heard from the district director, when they don't come early, then the mortality is very high. So we've already sent resources. We are here. We're going to have a meeting in Techiman with all the...
And that was Deputy Health Minister Victor Bampo. You're watching News Today here on your Joy News channel on Multi TV. We're taking a break. We'll return shortly with some more. Don't go away. Many thanks for staying with us here on News Today. Let's talk security now. And the police administration says it is collaborating with British and other foreign counterparts to help in providing adequate security for this year's general elections. Now, the Inspector General of Police, John Kudalo, admits this year's poll is crucial and no stone should be left unturned. In an interview with Joy News, Mr. Kudalo said the police administration will also train personnel on how to be professionals before, during, and after the polls. He's been speaking to my colleague Beatrice Edu.
2016 is a year we all know very eventful for a lot of events, the major one being the 2016 elections. So we are joining our boys towards it. We've made the necessary arrangements with some of our foreign partners to come and teach us policing elections. We are in very high level negotiations with the British Embassy and some other embassies who have done it before. We are also taking our boys through professional training and also how to police elections. Besides our affirmative action this is still ongoing, where integrity and professionalism is very, very paramount. And we are making sure that we churn out very professional policemen who will just be there to interpret the law as it is without any callous.
The Interior Minister, in a recent meeting with the Small Arms Commission, said that they had identified some hotspots in the country. From the point of the police, is there any special package or plan for such areas?
Oh yes, we are in collaboration with the Small Arms. We have members on their board, and we do everything in tandem. You know, some of this information are quite sensitive because we don't have to give them before we make the raids or soup selection. As and when we get the information, we act on it, because ours is a day-to-day activity, not necessarily because of the elections, but to maintain law and order and to ensure that the goodwill of this country have their property and lives protected. So ours is an ongoing process, but of course we shall intensify it as we go closer to the elections.
Smoke has a range of health effects on humans, from eye and respiratory tract irritation to serious disorders. Now, Gary producers in the Bonahafu region, however, often have to defy the smoke-filled environments and the hazards associated with smoke inhalation just so they could make the staple available while also keeping their families afloat. Now, Joy News' Ashanti Regional Correspondent Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin reports on what some of the producers go through to get the job done.
Cooking up mashed cassava into dry granular food has become a sustainable income for residents here at Ntankoro in Kentampo in the Bonahafu region. But for this process to be completed, they need energy, supplied by firewood from nearby forests to keep their pans hot. This has always triggered persistent felling of trees to feed their pans, contributing to deforestation that ultimately leads to tragic loss of biodiversity. Kwame Edu is one of the Gari makers. Though he is aware of the damning effect of felling trees, he says there is no other source of fuel to roast their cassava flour.
We need a Gari processing machine, so we will stop felling trees for this job. For now, without the firewood, we can't process the Gari. When we fell trees for firewood, our water bodies dry up. So all we need from government is a processing machine to make the work easier.
Nowadays, we don't get firewood for processing Gari. We are hoping government will intervene. There are many Gari makers in this locality. If government can help us with electricity, we will be grateful.
Ghana's inability to move beyond the customary use of firewood for cooking puts at risk the country's remaining 2% forest cover. Above all, these producers continuously ignore pejorative effects of the smoke they inhale every day.
Have you experienced what we go through daily? The smoke is too much. You are even running away because you can't stand the smoke.
The smoke is always making us sick. We fall ill after every Gari making process.
According to the World Health Organization, indoor smoke from solid fuel is one of the leading causes of avoidable deaths and ill health worldwide. Women are most affected because they often cook for their families and spend more time in smoky kitchens. For now, the people of Ntankoro are aware of the damage their Gari business is doing to the environment and to themselves. But until they get sustainable alternative, they will continue to deplete the forest. Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin's report for Joy News.
Foreign Affairs Minister Hannah Tete says she was only part of the conversations regarding the transfer of the two ex-Guantanamo Bay detainees, and that at a point it became a national security issue and was therefore excluded. But the Interior Minister Mark Oyongo, who oversees national security matters, has also told Joy News he wasn't part of the conversations at all. He, however, says now that the two are in the country, there are special surveillance plans for them.
We are not leaving anything to chance, and that's why the president indicated that they are being accommodated by national security. They are being monitored 24/7 by national security. And if they do anything untoward, they will be dealt with according to the law.
For instance, do they have access to phones, internet? Because, you know, terror groups thrive on these things.
Well, I don't know the details for their being here. I wasn't privy to the discussions, but maybe that can be found out from the national security. They are supposed to comport themselves, not to do anything untoward. And I'm sure they were briefed, you know, on what to do and what not to do. And if they go against that, obviously, they'll be infringing on the laws of the land. So,
which you can't tell us.
Which one?
What they're expected to do and not to do.
That's why I say national security would have then briefed them. And like I said, I wasn't privy to those discussions with them.
There's this huge outcry among Ghanaians, Christian groups and all of that. Do we have a reason to be afraid at all?
Well, we have a reason to be concerned, but I don't think that we have a reason to fear like it's being touted all over the place. I think that once the security is monitoring them 24/7, once they live in national security accommodation, and once, you know, we are all now very conscious of their presence here, I don't think that there should be any reason to fear.
Sir, you say that we have to ask national security for the details, but you are the interior minister. They are on our soil. Any specific plans, measures put in place by your ministry to ensure that at least there's some kind of security measures they are abiding by?
Well, you would have noticed that after our meeting with you this morning, I had a closed-door meeting with the security heads, and that was one of the issues that we discussed. I've asked them to pay particular attention to those two detainees, ensure that they do not do anything that will breach the peace of our country. So they are being monitored, like I said, they are going to be monitored very closely.
Now, there's information around about WikiLeaks leaking some data or documents about these individuals, and in 2007 they were rated as high risk. Years on, they are in our country, and we're hearing our president telling us that these are low risk. Shouldn't this really be a concern for Ghanaians? And why is there misinformation?
No, if you listen to the information the officer at the American embassy yesterday, he said they were not they are not security risk as to such an extent that we should be worried, because we are in a position to contain them.
Let's head to the courts now. And a suit filed against the candidate of the NDC's representative for the Klote Kole constituency in the Greater Accra region has been dismissed by an Accra High Court. The daughter of the country's former president defeated incumbent MP Niama Ashite in the governing party's primaries, but some party members in the area challenged her victory, alleging that she's not a registered voter. My colleague Kwacha Afreniama has more and joins me in studio with that information. So, Afre, what reasons did the judge give for dismissing this case?
Well, first, I'm sure recall that the key reliefs that the plaintiffs were seeking included a declaration that the court declares that the election in the Klote constituency, so far as Zaneto Rollins was involved, was null and void because she did not meet the requirements of the party's own constitution, as she according to them, she's not a registered voter, and also they quoted aspects of the constitution. And they also asked the court to call for a rerun of the election in that area that saw to the defeat of the incumbent Niama Ashite. But the court, presided over by Patience Mills Tete, in its ruling said that this was an afterthought, because when Zaneto Rollins declared her intention to run as the NDC's to become the NDC's parliamentary candidate in that area, her posters came out. The party subsequently organized the primaries and all that. they could have initiated this action, yet they failed to do that. And so that on that basis, like once again, the court thought that was an afterthought. And again, the court thought that they failed to exhaust the NDC's internal grievance procedures, because we know that they've set up a committee to probe all the issues that came up after the primaries, and on that basis, this suit has been dismissed.
Have any of the parties been commenting on this particular ruling?
Well, Zanetta Rollins, her supporters were in court, obviously elated by this ruling by the High Court, and she herself has been speaking. She admitted that all along she knew that this was going to go her way. She was pretty confident from the beginning, and she believes this is a clear indication that our democracy is working. The rules of this country are really working.
Right. Many thanks for that update, Kwachi Afre-Nneoma. And that was my colleague with our political desk here at Joy News, senior journalist Kwachi Afre-Nneoma. To some more stories now. An organized labor is proceeding with this decision to embark on a nationwide demonstration and strike. Now, the decision follows a break in negotiations with government to reverse increases in taxes and utility tariffs. Now, at a just-ended media briefing in Accra, General Secretary of the Trade Union Congress, Kofi Asamoah, says government has lost touch with reality. Johnny Kwete was at the press briefing and joins me on phone now with a lot more. So, Kwete, what else have they been saying at this particular meeting?
According to organized labor, their point basically is that they've had to embark on this action because government did not convince them on why they cannot reverse the highs in utilities and taxes. And according to Kofi Asamoah, government have lost touch with both economic and social reality, and believe strongly that government move has become unbearable for many public sector workers. They describe the taxes, for instance, as very insensitive, and they are asking government to reverse it, and that's why they are embarking on the 20th January demonstration.
I see. Many thanks for that particular update. Kwete Nate joining us with a lot more on that action by organized labor. They're saying they'll be embarking on a strike on the 20th of January. We'll be bringing a lot more on this particular story later on. But time now for us to check out the very latest in business with Emmanuel.atani right after these messages. So time now for some business. Here's Emmanuel.atani with a lot more. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hi.
Okay, so the afternoon edition, I'm sure you have a lot more.
Yes, it's very unfortunate. The year has started with further decline in commodity prices, key of them being crude oil, which has hit the below the $30 mark.
Should that be good news for us or bad news? I mean,
certainly not too good news. It could be good news for consumers because it means that it transcends into low prices.
Oh, you're still paying more anyway.
But then generally, government revenue is really affected. Exactly.
Okay.
You know, when it's not halted, then it will be a problem.
Okay, I'm looking forward to that particular demonstration anyway. I'm hoping I can be a part of it.
Well, you have every justification to be part, but like I told you, you have to do first things first.
Anyway.
All right, so this is Joy Business. The Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, has backed the introduction of the Power Infrastructure Support Levy on petroleum products. The levy is to be used to defray the debts of utility companies and support prospective investors in the sector, among others. President Mahama, at a press conference last Tuesday, justified the imposition of the new taxes as critical in reviving the ailing energy sector. Executive Director of ACEP, Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam, has welcomed the introduction of the levy, but wants government to strictly stick to its intended purpose.
Power sector levy on the petroleum products, what they call the Power Infrastructure Support Levy. This is an important levy in our view, considering the fact that the power sector is a major concern to Ghanaians. Power is the engine of economic growth. If our power sector is not functioning, the entire economy is in trouble. ACEP is not against the introduction of that levy, because the levy is to be used for three purposes: to pay off the debts of the utilities, it is also supposed to be used to support what we call the partial risk guarantees for investors that want to come in and invest in generation. Then it is also supposed to be used to support generation infrastructure development. We are in favor of using this levy to pay off debts, because the debt overhang, is affecting the operations of ECG, VRA, and other energy sector players. And so ASEP is not against using this levy to pay off the debts.
Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam sharing his thoughts on the power infrastructure levy. Now, it appears predictions that crude oil prices might hit the $20 mark by the middle of the year may happen earlier than projected. The price of the commodity is now trading a little under $30 a barrel, the lowest in 12 years. Some banks are also warning that it could hit $16 a barrel by June 2016. For some analysts, this could see some international oil companies in Ghana lay off workers. There are also fears it will reduce government's revenue from oil exports. Now, speaking of commodity pricing, government's declining revenue from exports could be compounded by the rather bad start of the year for cocoa prices, which have been dropping on the international market due to increased supplies. Market watchers are, however, beginning to revise their predictions that the dry weather could result in a decline in production. There's more in this Business Desk report.
The harmattan was expected to peak in January, but that has not been the case as we head into the middle of the month. This means the cocoa crops could survive what was anticipated to be the effect of bad weather this season. While the fears of bad weather are being sucked out of the market, cocoa prices are falling as supplies increase. The lower prices bodes well for long-term demand prospects, but not so good for countries like Ghana, whose economy depends on the commodity. The price of cocoa is beginning to align with the price of other commodities on the market and currently trading at $2,881 a ton, reflecting a tumble which began at the beginning of the year.
Ghanaian startup Enyinam Tech is one of 10 startups from 5 countries on the African continent hoping to benefit from a $100 million investment by non-profit organization Village Capital. The American-based organization, through its Hardware Accelerator program, supports startups with ideas aimed at improving energy access and increasing agricultural productivity by way of hardware-based solutions. Leah Maker is the manager of Village Capital's Africa program, and she's been speaking to Joy Business on how this program could benefit the Ghanaian economy.
I think it's about creating a culture that supports entrepreneurship. So we've worked really closely with a Ghanaian group called Creativity Group, which is a maker space, so a space for engineers to really prototype their designs up in Kumasi, where there is a very vibrant hardware and manufacturing scene. Yet there isn't as much support for those types of entrepreneurs. So the more we bring these types of programs across the continent and give entrepreneurs hope that they will be supported and that they can find funding and that they can find partners to support them in their projects, then we'll have really homegrown solutions for the continent, not things that are imported from outside, things that are designed here in the country, supported by Ghanaian investors, and we'll see a lot more local companies that are really built to benefit the country as a whole.
Well, so the winners of the Hardware Accelerator program will be announced at the end of next month. And that is it for the afternoon business news. Thanks very much for your company. Do join me. Do join the Business Desk again at 7 p.m. for Joy Prime News. Good afternoon.
So that'll be all for the news this afternoon. Remember, there's more on myjoyonline.com. My name is Kwabena Chenchenini Boateng. Have a good afternoon.